नमस्कार इतिंग आलाप को बहुत बहुत स्वागत आपण मानक मनीष बुलवा भल पाए गोटे समय थिला मनीष जितेबाला जोठिकी बुली जाऊला सेठी रही जाऊला किंतु धीरे धीरे परिवर्तन बहुत बेसी है गमनागमन सुविधा सुजोग बहुत हो गला मनीष बुलिकी पुणी थे घर को फेरी आसला किंतु आज मु जड़े एभली व्यक्तित्व सामने बसची सी बुलवा को आसी बा आउ किछि भल काम करने आसी बा किछि देखिबा आसी सी किंतु आउ थरे तांको जन्ममाटी को फेरिले नहीं ओडिशा तांको बहुत भल लगिला सी रहीगले ओडिशा रे से ओडिशा रे केमिति रहिले ओडिशा को काहेकि आसिले खाली रे भी रही नांती बहुत ना कमेचंती मु आउ किछि कहिबी नहीं तांको विषय रे सब कथा आमे सुनिबा तांको मुहरु वर्तमान मु आपण मानक तरफरु मो तरफरु कलिंग टीवी तरफरु मु स्वागत करी पद्मश्री नृत्य गुरु इलियाना सितारी
नमस्कार
बहुत खुशी लगुच आज मु आपण सामने बसी आपण जीवन यात्रा विषय किसी जानापी जमती मु कहली समस्त जानी आपण इटाली रू आसी ओडिशा रे रही जाइछंती तबे आमे टिके पछुको फेरिबा खाली आपण जीवन यात्रा विषय केमती पिला दिन आपणकर कटिला केमती आपणकर पारिवारिक जीवन इटाली रे थिला काहे की भाबिले आपण पूरा पळे आसबे बोली एपटको
पिला दिने माने कोन नाच सेते कोते मोर कोते पैशन थिला जो पिला दिनरो but that was
आपनकर family political family thila
political yes that's why I don't want to enter into politics
बापा थिले politics
बापा politician but he was also an artist kintu mane because of the politic career that artistic trait mane he couldn't follow particular मोर डांस बहुत भल लगी क्लासिकल बैले माने से 3 वर्ष पाई मते पतेचंती आई वाज 8 9 10 years old तापर जेते बेले स्कूल टिके टिके बेसी एंगेज एची एती माने केमती आउची ओडिसा रे जेते पिला आछंती तापर जेते बेले बोर्ड एग्जाम अछि ना नो स्टैंडर्ड
डांस
स्टडी so सेतिकी more or less so बाबा माने never thought that माने सेतिकी क्वालिटी तिला से तो जाना पड़ितला कांगी ना हम टीचर सब बेले मते डाकितले जेते बेले गोटे विजिटर तिला बाहरे आस्तिबे मते सब बेले डाकिबे डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करिबा पाई
अच्छा
आज पर्यंत मने अछि although I was small and I was good in keeping the time the tala we don't call it tala rhythm but somehow I had a role as a drummer a drama in a storyline production so they gave me that and I had to keep the rhythm and the piano player because classical ballet is always accompanied by a piano so she was telling me oh you are good in keeping the rhythm with the feet से आज माने मने पड़िला जे maybe that time it was some destiny was there with the tala and so anyway but in spite of that बापा माँ जेते बेले स्कूल रे टिके बेसी पड़िला ते माने they stopped so that time I was very obedient up to when I became 14 years old I started to rebel but 15 years but up to that time I was my father was very dominant type so quite strict so I was always up to that time I was quite scared of him
एटा तबे भी माने को मसियार कथा कहउचंती
it was 60s in the 60s 1960s
इटाली रे भी थिला रेस्ट्रिक्शन झियो को प्रति
because it was very much like for girls they going around and all these things was quite restricted in my family some other family may be a little bit more but in my family yes I had to also with my first boyfriend and all these things I had always to hide and to to tell lies and to go on the small lane not to be seen and all this the kind of things and
ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ ଝିଅ ଥିଲେ
ନା ତାପରେ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଭାଇ ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ସାନ ଭଉଣୀ but there were 4-5 years different in between with the brother and another 4 years so 8 years between me and the younger sister so they found the things a little more easy because ମୋର ତ
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ପରେ
ସବୁ ତ ଭାଙ୍ଗି ଦେଇଛି in spite of that I did whatever I wanted but always struggling and taking risk
ମା ଥିଲେ କଣ ହାଉସ ମେକର
ma was no head mistress
ଆଚ୍ଛା
she was also working so most of the childhood I spent ମାନେ ସେ ଯୋଉ maid servants because ସେମାନେ she was going in the morning to evening ଫେରି ଆସିବେ ଆଉ ବାପା ତ ସକାଳେ lecturer afternoon publisher he had a publishing book house and night evening politician
oh
so he was totally engaged but mother also was working so most of the time we were in the under the care of some of the other maid servants
ତାପରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଏଜ୍ ବଢିଲା ପରେ ମାନେ
ତାପରେ ମାନେ so that time I had to obey when they stopped me to send to the ballet and ତାପରେ ତ ବହୁତ ଲମ୍ବା ରାସ୍ତା ହେଲା ପୁଣି ଦାସ ଫେରି ଆସିବା ପାଇଁ so first all the rebellion and the student movements and the feminist movement I went through all this on the 70s 80s that was the time ଯେତେବେଳେ ସବୁ ୟୁରୋପରେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସରେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇକରି ଏ ସବୁ ତ ଜାଗାରେ ସବୁ spread out and so I was in all my father was in a party I was in the opposite party
oh acha
I was in the Communist Party. Then I started with theatre. माने in my town.
Dance टा थिला. आपण एगुडा जहाँ भी करथिले डांस संगरे थिला आपण.
ना डांस पूरा बंद देला.
ओ पूरा बंद कर.
सेते बेले से मते बंद कर देले. Our classical ballet it's not possible to if you have a gap of kete so if you start from माने when you smaller then you have to continue. That was the time in the 70s 80s when all these things the young people they were finding their own direction and they were not accepting what the parents and the older generation was imposing so tapore mo town re gote theater tila teatro tascabile it's called tascabile means pocket and it was a small theater and Bergamo is my own hometown so teatro tascabile di Bergamo so they were searching for some artists so I enrolled myself and they needed sange mane gote female ye to mate sange stage re poke janti I didn't have a proper training also so but on your jo senior artists were there so they were taking care of me and Seta Arambala theater that was a traditional theater mane a lot of acting not too much physical theater acting
बहुत बढ़िया थिएटर सेट हुए हमें देख बहुत भल लगे
Commedia dell'arte it is a famous traditional theater from Italy where a dialect is used and a lot of characters are there so with a mask and all these things so they have a certain way of moving and so seta ଟିକେ କରିግରି ତାପରେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ theater movement ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଥିଲା from Poland from Jerzy Grotowski and the group was coming to all over Europe and tankori actor were holding workshops so I was joining that workshops tapore ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ bread and puppet theater came so there was a lot of movement so theater ମାନେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଥିଲା ଗୋଟେ hall ଭିତରେ ନ ହେଇକିରି ରାସ୍ତା ଭିତରେ ଯିବାକୁ କି ସ୍କୁଲ ଭିତରେ ଯିବାକୁ social messages so it was moving out so new techniques were required like walking on stilts on the street theater mane you have to have big mask nale to kiye dekibu mane stilts upare mane auri so all this technique had to be learned so I was going to learn all these things and
with your mane apana ka interest hi apana
more interest yeah so on the side I was also doing my studies I completed my college and then I went to philosophy I did my university I chose philosophy and that in Venice so when I shifted to Venice mane theater to I left the theater but in Venice a sabu workshop tila these were all visiting artists from Europe, from America, so they were having 2 months workshop, 3 months workshop. So I was attending those. Gote dine I saw one demonstration of Kathakali. So जो मैंने already India रे आसीଥିଲି 1974
ଶିଖିକି ଯାଇଥିଲେ
ନା 74 I came by, there was no connection with dance. 74 I came by road, just
came by road
1 month I took, and seta
with a group ମାନେ group
na alone. That those were the year in which we were inspired by writers like Hermann Hesse, Jack Kerouac, on the road. That India was like a pilgrimage, like it was like to put yourself on trials, on outside your comfort zone. India was a target for many young people of that time. So because of the different, now India and they're not, it's not so different anymore, but that time it was more like a spiritual target.
70s ର କଥା କହୁଛନ୍ତି
70s ଏଟା 74 ଆସିଲି. Then second time ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆସିଲି 78, that time it was straight
74 ରେ ପ୍ରଥମେ ଆସିଲେ
for
alone by
6
road
months, for 6 months, yeah, by road, by Orient Express. Then I joined, got a private, two boys were there. They were searching for passengers from Istanbul to Kabul, from Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And tapare in Kabul from Kabul to Peshawar by bus, normal bus. You go down. Kabul is high and Peshawar is there. And then train from Peshawar to Amritsar. So it took 1 month.
ବାପା ମା ଛାଡ଼ିଲେ ନା ଏମିତି
At that point there was nothing. ମାନେ ସିଏ କ'ଣ କହିଥାନ୍ତି, ସେ କାନ୍ଦିଥିଲେ ଟିକେ।
ପ୍ରଥମେ କୋଉଠି ପହଞ୍ଚିଲେ
ଆସିଲି ଅମୃତସର। Then I went to Meklodo Ganji, କୋଉଠି ଦଲାଇ ଲାମା ଥିଲେ। ତାପରେ ଆସିଲି ତଳେ Khajuraho, Agra, then Benares and Nepal. So then from Nepal I came down, I went to Badami, Ayole, then Goa. After that I came back, and in 78 I saw one Kathakali performance. We were searching for some physical expression through the body, not only through the recitation. So in India there was such a detailed grammar of the body, which I was not aware. So immediately when I said the program dekile pore, I asked, he was Guru Krishna Nambudiri from Sri Krishna Puram, Kerala. So ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ସେ ତ bare body ପୁରା demonstrate କରିଥିଲେ. So it was very evident, ମାନେ all the muscle of the face. So ତାକୁ ପଚାରିଥିଲି ନା, ସେ କହିଥିଲା ଏପ୍ରିଲ ମାସେ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ 3 ମାସେ workshop କରିବି 78. So 1st of April I straight ଏଇଟାର ମାନେ by flight. So I went there through Sri Krishna Puram, stayed for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, Kathakali. So after that, it was a cathartic experience. And ତାକୁ ମୁଁ ପଚାରିଥିଲି, ଗୁରୁଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିଥିଲି କ'ଣ ଆଉ କେମିତିଆ ଫେରି ଯିବି, ସେମିତିଆ କେମିତିଆ, ମାନେ I feel that I just started to discover something and I cannot. So ସେ ମୋତେ କହିଥିଲେ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ କଥା।
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ସିଏ କହିଥିଲେ
କାହିଁକି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ କହିଲେ? At that point he could have told me anything. ମାନେ ଯଦି ମୋତେ ଭାରତନାଟ୍ୟମ କହିଥାନ୍ତେ କି କୁଚିପୁଡ଼ି କହିଥାନ୍ତେ କି ମଣିପୁରୀ କହିଥାନ୍ତେ, but I knew, ମାନେ after many years I came to know that he was very much fascinated by Odissi.
ଆଚ୍ଛା।
And so I think he met Sanjukta Panigrai in Europe when he was traveling. So, but in any case, he gave me Sanju Nani's reference. So that time I was, ସେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ଆସିଥିଲି boyfriend ସାଙ୍ଗରେ, not alone. He was a musician. So ଆମେ ଦି ଜଣ ଏଠି from Kerala we crossed and we came to Odisha. ମୁଁ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ କିଛି ଜାଣିନଥିଲି। ସେତେବେଳେ ସେ ମୋତେ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ କଥା କହିଲେ। I knew about Konark because in my exams I knew about some temple. କିନ୍ତୁ କୋଉଠି exactly ଥିଲା, ମାନେ ଆମେ map ଦେଖିକିରି ଆମେ ଜାଣିଗଲୁ ତ we have to cross the India like this to go there. So ସେଠିକି ଯାଇକିରି ସଞ୍ଜୁ ନାନୀ ପାଖକୁ ଯାଇକିରି ବେଶୀ ରହିଲେନି, କେବଳ ମାସେ 2 ମାସ।
ଆପଣ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ କୋଉଠି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲେ?
ମାନେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି ଆମେ ସଞ୍ଜୁ ନାନୀ ପାଖକୁ ଯାଇକିରି without and I was totally western type
Ha.
and EP type, because in Kerala ma kichi mane strictness nahi, that in that Kathakali workshop se uniform ki kona ki rule ki kona kichi nahi, it was quite free. So as far as attire,
Odisha.
but she also Sanjunani also was very relaxed on the other, and she mane ଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ରୋଜ ସେ ପାଖ ଗୋଟେ ରୁମ୍ରେ ସେ ଆମ ପାଇଁ ମାନେ ଖୋଜିଥିଲେ ରହିବା ପାଇଁ, but we were still fascinated by Kerala. So this first approach with Odissi was okay, but not so, because Kerala was too much strong. So ତାପରେ ଗୋଟେ ଦିନେ ସଞ୍ଜୁନାନୀ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ୍ କରିଥିଲେ, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ଆସିଥିଲା ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ୍ କରିବାକୁ, ସେ ମୋତେ କହିଲା ତାଙ୍କରି ଗୁରୁ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ମାନେ ସଞ୍ଜୁନାନୀ ଗୁରୁ ଅଛନ୍ତି କଟକରେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆଉ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ପିସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ପେପର ସେ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି ଏତେ ଲମ୍ବା ନାମ, ଆଇ କୁଡଣ୍ଟ ଇଭେନ୍ ପ୍ରୋନାଉନ୍ସ ଇଟ୍, କେଲୁଚରଣ ମହାପାତ୍ର। ସେତେବେଳେ ମୋତେ ଲାଗିଥିଲା ପୁରା, ଆଉ ସେ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି, ରଖିଥିଲି ବ୍ୟାଗ୍ରେ ରଖିଥିଲି, ଆଉ ଆମେ ପୁଣି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ମାସେ ଗଲୁ କେରଳ ଜଷ୍ଟ ବୁଲିବା ପାଇଁ, ଆଉ ଫେରି ଗଲୁ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା,
ମାନେ I didn't meet Guruji that time.
ଆଚ୍ଛା, again return back quickly.
Yeah, because ଏ ମାନେ ଆପଣ ତ 6 ମାସେ ଭିସା ପାଇବେ ନା, 3 ମାସ ଅଲରେଡି କେରଳ ଯାଇଥିଲା, ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ମାସ 1.5 ମାସେ କି କ'ଣ 2 ମାସେ, ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଆମେ ଆଉ କେରଳ ଆମେ ବୁଲିଗଲୁ, ତାପରେ ଫେରିଗଲୁ। ମୋର ତ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା ଯୋଉ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଏଠି ଶିଖିବି, ମୋ ଥିଏଟର ଏକ୍ସପେରିମେଣ୍ଟ, theater will help. So that was the original ତାପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ କରିଥିଲି, ମୁଁ ବୁଝିଲି ଯେ if I want to actually learn and utilize this movement, I have to learn a little more. ସେଥିପାଇଁ decide କରିଥିଲି। In the meantime, I split with my boyfriend also. June 79 ମୁଁ ଭାବିଥିଲି ଗୋଟେ ବର୍ଷ ଯିବି ପୁଣି, 1 year. That was the
ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଶିଖିବା ପାଇଁ
Odissi 6 ମାସେ, Kathakali 6 ମାସେ.
ଆଚ୍ଛା,
So that was the plan. But since Kathakali mote Krishna Budiri କହିଥିଲେ we are going to Europe in June, July, so don't come first here, you go first to Odisha and then you come here. So ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆସିଲି, ଏଟାର ସେ ଯୋଉ piece of paper ଥିଲା ଗୁରୁଜୀଙ୍କୁ ନାମ
ସେଟା ରଖିଥିଲେ।
ସେଟା ରଖିଥିଲି, ସେଟା ପୁରା directly as usual, without any formality and without ସେଠିକି ଯାଇକିରି ଦିଲ୍ଲୀରେ, ତାପରେ ଟ୍ରେନରେ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର by bus, ବାଦାମବାଡ଼ି I asked one rickshaw bala କୋଉଠି, what language I don't know, because ମୋର ଇଂଲିଶ ଜାଣି ନଥିଲି, ଓଡ଼ିଆ ତ no way. So ସେ rickshaw ବାଲା ପହଞ୍ଚିଦେଲା ସେଠି ଗୁରୁଜୀଙ୍କୁ ଘରେ।
ଆପଣ ଏକା ଆସିଲେ?
No, one girlfriend was there. She was also she had done Kerala workshop, and in Rome she had worked with me, so we are 2 people. ସେଟା କହିଛି ମୁଁ 6 ମାସେ ରହିବି, ତାପରେ 6 ମାସେ କେରଳ ଯିବି, ସେଇଟାକୁ କହିଛି। ସେ 6 ମାସେ ତ 6 ବର୍ଷ ହେଇଗଲା, ଆଉ ଇଟାଲୀ ଗଲିନି। For 6 years I never went back to Italy. Then everything disappeared. Kerala, theater, Italy, Kathakali, Odisha ରହିଲା। ତାପରେ after 6 years ମାନେ ଯାଇଛି ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ମାସେ, after 6 years, because Guruji had to throw me out of the class, ନହେଲେ ତ ଯାଇନଥାନ୍ତି।
6 ବର୍ଷ ଆପଣ ପୁରା ଗୋଟେ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ଉଠେଇବା ପାଇଁ, ଯେମିତି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସର ସବୁ ବିଭାଗ।
My first program was 21st April 81. So after 2 years, 29 April, because it was World Dance Day, so that's why I remember. Guruji accompanied me in Kala Vikas Kendra ଆମେ କରିଥିଲୁ।
କ'ଣ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ଥିଲା?
ମାନେ
ପୁରା କଲେ, ମାନେ
ପୁରା ମାନେ ମାଣିକ୍ୟ ବୀଣା, ଆରବୀ ପଲ୍ଲବୀ, ଅଭିନୟ, yahi madhava yahi kesava, dasavatar, moksha, with a full orchestra. Guruji
କ'ଣ ପକାଉଛ?
Sudha Ramarao was there, one of my friends. She's South Indian, a very talented girl. We worked together to harmonize with my movement and her voice. She's a very beautiful singer. And then Sunakar Sao violin, then Vishnu Pradhan sitar. Those artists all that time were the best artists. So I still have the photo of that with the orchestra. Hey,
या भितर आपण प्रथम जेतले भी शिक्षा पे आसले लैंग्वेज बैरियर कोन आपन को केमती हला
Language to no, because I was a guest, a paying guest. So
कोडी पेइंग गेस्ट गुरुजी को घरे रहते
ना ना गुरुजी को करे नहीं केबे नहीं गुरुजी से संगे संगे राजी एची सिखाइबा पे किंतु my maybe my aspect was not so traditional, so immediately didn't give that impression of because they were very orthodox in a way in the house, so many limitations, the puja room,
बहुत डेडिकेटेड थिले डांस प्रति
but I was always hosted माने केते hospitality पाइछि केती ओडिसा all over India. That is one great quality of Indian people, but in Odisha especially in Cuttack केते घरे मते समस्त को कला करिग्री ता कोति कीरो पाइबी कोति एटा पाइबी कोति माने everybody was very hospitable माने 11 वर्ष रहिली कटक. The first year I was as a guest in somebody's house and this and that, then I settled down in a Silent Roy house.
आपनकर इनकम सोर्स कोन थिला मन केमती चलुथिले आपण
I got scholarship after 2 years I was there. From external affairs, and it was an exchange year. But in the beginning, I was with very whatever money I had for 1 year. It was not much at all, but also I was paying 100 rupees, I think, for food and lodging. So then I was mane sabobele Guruji kote jibe because Guruji will be here in Cuttack, but also he will do the workshopping and CPA. Se समय आरंभ करतले 80-81 आरंभ करतले मासे in Padati in Calcutta, मासे in CPA Bombay, मासे in Gandharva Mahavidyalaya Delhi रे and mo सबबेले पचुते
आपण सबबेले जाते
मु कोति चारि बिनी से माने in Cuttack all the girls were coming from Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta. तापर in Bombay mostly Bombay people, Calcutta mostly Calcutta people, but I would be there. I would follow. And everywhere I was finding some place where to stay guest.
आउ सब विभाग ओडिसी रा आपण कर दे परबे बट अभिनय पय त भाषाटा जानिबा पय दरकार
सेटा तो मु कहतली के जे कोति मु रहितली कि माने गोटे इंग्लिश के जानि नथिले आ मु तो इंग्लिश बहुत पुअतिली एंड इंग्लिश की जानि नथिले सो स्पेशली गुरुजी एंड छाओ गुरु छाओ तो संगे संगे मासे 2 मासे पर आरंभ करछि
मासे 2 मास पर छो आरंभ कर देले.
Yes, during the time in August why माने दिल्ली रे थिली I just walk into Bharatiya Kala Kendra. So I just walk into a room and I saw a beautiful dance style. One girl was doing it. And she was doing movement of birds with a full body, and one old man was with a big drum was sitting. So I was totally mesmerized. And then I asked to the guru, ये क्या हो गया? This one is Chau dance, and from where? From Odisha. I say, "Ore bap, Odisha puni autare feri bararchi." So then when I came back after 1 month, I came back. Guruji workshop was over. Se mate that was Krishna Chandra Naik, that guru, and he had given me the reference to Sri Hari Naik.
अच्छा.
And Sri Hari Naik was teaching
आपन छौरो गुरु से.
So when I came, it was already September. Tamane Utka Sangit Mahavidyalaya already started the academic year. So I just learned privately. Tapore in July, when the new admission was there, I directly entered into the 3rd year.
छौ सिक्किया में आरंभ कर देला.
3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th 4 years. So I was going up and down from Cuttack to Bhubaneswar by bus. Morning छौ सिखितली तापरे फेरी आसिला बेले
ओडिसी करथिले.
ओडिसी आफ्टरनून करथिली तापरे जते बेले गुरुजी जिबे कहती मु छौ चारिग्री सेति कि जिबी किंतु छौ मु 4 वर्ष को
माने दीटा जक डांस एकाथरे सिखथले आपन किछि कष्ट लागले
ना मते कष्ट लागिलानी के गुरुजी वाज वेरी strict that the Chau movement should not come into the Odissi and all these things.
दीदा
आसीथिबो but I was also very
छोरा पूरा गोटे अलगा ओडिसी पूरा ओडिसी त लास्य
but but they are quite complementary, and for me it was necessary both. I mean one is, and also they reaching each other, like because my Chau is more refined, maybe elegant and graceful because of the Odissi training. And the Odissi got more stamina and more balance
हाँ ये तो
by the
स्टैमिना
chow.
एंड बैलेंस टा आसी जीवा
For the chow.
बट से लास्य भावटा तो छौ जदी प्रभाव
No, but tatapi, it was for me. It was very interesting to do the chow. I always found it is complementary between the Odissean chow, and I kept them separately. I
आपण
never.
माने कोण एमती गोटे बाटा आपण आपणले जोतरे कि दीटा रे आपण सामान्य रक्षा कर पेले छौ एंड ओडिसी दीटा जाक जहा भी हेले अलग
माने energy. I had the masculine
how you
energy, which
balance it both
way of expression had to be through both of them. The feminine part of me, it has been discovered through the Odissi.
yes
And the other aspect that more strong, it was fulfilled by the chow.
Chow.
Every time I was coming from Cuttack, and then I was discovering the Sedine Chuti. The actual training during the holiday, when Srihari sir was going back to Baripada, I would go there for 15
Acha.
days. And there it was where I learned the Shiva Tandava, where I learned Dandi, where I learned the real
आपण खाली डांस शिकले ना डांस ऊपर पढिले
dance. Yeah, a lot.
because you have written books
A
also
lot of research also, because especially in the
केमती
Odissi.
पढिले हमर सब ओडिया रे थिले ना आपण को इंग्लिश रे मिलला
No, most of my books were in English, and also whatever, but jetiki ame item korchu in Oriya or Sanskrit, seta maro pandit paku jaigri, because you have to know the exact meaning, very detailed. So Guruji to kete explain karibe. ता छोरा आउ टिके माने
आपण को निजे भी प्रैक्टिस करियो पड़ियो से सब
निजे practice. Tapore I was interested in like Git Govinda. I was very fascinated by Git Govinda. That time I was reading a lot. Ebe apur mane jo COVID ela di borso ame gore bitere tillu. So after 40 years I went to take out all those books which I was reading in the beginning, in the first 5 or so in the beginning, and I noticed that they were all underlined because all of them were been read by me very in detail. And I wrote the last book, Odissi Gita Govinda, during the 2 years of COVID.
आपण तीनटा लेक्चर टोटल ना ओडिसी ऊपर
Odissi upare first is the making of a guru,
हां
Kelucharan Mahapatra's story. Then second, nice, my autobiography.
Oh, acha, that I don't know.
Actually, all these things you are asking, it is all details there, and now it is being translated into Oriya.
आपण आपणकर बायोग्राफी लिखी सारी लेनी है
Yeah, it is called My Journey, A Tale of Two Birds. Dita Janma.
दीटा जन्म तो निश्चित भाବରେ ଆପଣ 6 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଇଟଲି ଗଲେ
Italy goli gote mase pai for programs. Then from that time, prote borso, I'll try with my mother help, because they also, my mother invented herself as a impresario to be able to see her daughter. So we are able to do good programs in Italy, in prestigious festivals.
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସୁବିଧା ହେଲା ଆପଣଙ୍କ ବାପା ସେଠି ପଲିଟିକ୍ସ ରେ ଥିଲେ ବୋଲି ନା
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yes, and but in many cultural, total cultural festival, that was not too much helpful. But in some other places where it was possible to have an introduction through that, yes. And my parents also collaborate. I mean, we in the beginning it was a rebellion and all these things, but then slowly they appreciated. So it was coming together also through this, and they accepted, and they
आपण केबे स्थिर कले जे पूरा रही जेबे आउ जेबे
मु तो केबे एक्चुअली एते डिसाइड मु जाना नाही, जस्ट हैपन ऑन इट्स
6 मास ओडिसी 6 मास कथा कली पे
तापर सेता सबु चली गला 6 वर्ष रहला विदाउट गोइंग बैक, and it came on its own. In the meantime jo 6 वर्ष my brother got married, my sister got married, gote puo echi mo bhai gote so many things happened, but just telegram from Cuttack. That time there was not even STD. STD to aste asichi. First years STD was not there with Italy.
nice. ଅସୁବିଧା
via
ଥିଲା।
collecting call and yeah. ତାପରେ ଯାଇଛି 6 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ I was happy that actually again reconnect because I could share and ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ନାଚିବି କି explain କରିବି I can explain in their own language and also choose what is more proper because it's my own place na so I can feel the reaction of the people so but the Bodha action item that is always it was like Ramayana there was one the Sitaharana episode
Yes.
My mother was in love with that. She would have seen that 100 times. And every time when I was performing it, she will explain the story to the neighbor, to the person sitting near.
What you are doing? ମାନେ ଆପଣ କ'ଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
Yeah, ମାନେ Ravana now Jatayu. So she was, but
ଆପଣ 6 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଯାଇଥିଲେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଆସିଲେ ମାନେ କେମିତି ବାପା ମାଙ୍କୁ ମନେଇଲେ ବା ନିଜେ କେମିତି ଡିସିସନ ନେଲେ ଯେ ମୁଁ ଏଇଠି ହିଁ ପୁରା ରହିଯିବି?
no, by that time it was already understood. I mean,
ଆଚ୍ଛା already understood.
yeah. Also, nobody had any doubt anymore after 6 years. 6 years is a lot gap.
ହଁ
So, ନାଇଁ ତାପରେ ମାନେ ସେ ମତେ ଦେଖିଛନ୍ତି କ'ଣ ମାନେ how I was like this with the sari I was dancing I was
ଆଶ୍ଚର୍ଯ୍ୟ ହେଇଯାଇଥିବ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖିକିରି।
ନାଇଁ but in between during those 6 years my parents came
ଆଚ୍ଛା
after 2 years because I was not going back and ସେମାନେ ଗୁରୁଜୀଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଦେଖାଇଲା they liked each other like anything very much I don't know what they talked because my parents didn't know English at all and guruji also se kintu mane tankari vitare bahut bolo conversation heichi and they liked it a lot each other and then yeah they met the Silent Roy they met they saw me totally changed and at peace with myself so from that first visit they understood that I have found what I was searching. So after that, that's why maybe my mother also was helping to find some program because that was the only way to get me back.
Yes.
But up to that extent, never they thought that I would. That it somehow it became evident that.
ଆପଣ ତାପରେ ମାନେ କେତେ କେତେ ଦିନ ଅନ୍ତର ଯାଆନ୍ତି ଘରକୁ ଇଟଲି? ଏବେ ତ
ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ବର୍ଷ ଯାଇଥିବି.
ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ବର୍ଷ ଏବେ ବି ସେଟା କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
Yes, this 2 years of COVID I didn't go, but so in May I went after third year, 19.
ସବୁବେଳେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ନେଇକି ଯାଆନ୍ତି ନା ଏମିତି ଖାଲି?
I go also without program, छोटा program, ମାନେ some workshop, demonstration, but the tour with the troupe that cannot be every year. That is require a lot of work.
Yes.
So now the last one it was in 2017 when I went with the troupe. 20 was supposed to happen. We were invited by a good festival. Then the COVID came. My first choreography, jo Maya Darpana korichi. It was my first choreography in Odisha. Seta, I didn't have my own group. After that, I realized that if I want to choreograph, I need my own students. And I started my school in 97. When I came in 79, I had already chosen the topic, what I wanted to put in theatre. Already choice etila. It was the meat of Eco and Narcissus. So from the Greek meat. Narcissus, which he sees himself into the water and narcissistic and fall in love with the beautiful meat. And so to choreograph night, to make this into a play, I thought that I'll ମାନେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ 6 ମାସ ପଟେ ଟିକେ ଶିଖିବି so that didn't happen. I stay here and all this thing. But in 1985 when East West Dance Encounter was there in Bombay, organized by Georg Leschner, but Max Muller-Baumann, he called me and he said, you have to choreograph something which is totally creative, totally yours, based on what you have learned from Indian dance. So setebele already 5 years of Chao, it was with me, 79 to 85. So, and suddenly that Greek came up, and I say Greek meat. So it didn't happen the way I had planned, but the circle got
ସେଇଟା ହିଁ
in.
ପଚାରିଥାନ୍ତି ଆପଣ ସେଇଠିକାର ଷ୍ଟୋରି କିଛି ଏଥିରେ ମିଶେଇକି କରିଛନ୍ତି କି ଓଡ଼ିଶା?
So that became a landmark because it is still considered like a classic of a creative work in Chao. So and I performed it in the Tata Theatre in Bombay in the occasion of the East-West Dance Encounter, and the music was a computerized music done by Igor Vakevich. Actually, Leshner, the organizer, suggested me there is this Igor Vakevich. He was from Switzerland or something. He was staying in Pondicherry, and I wanted echo. Echo should be a vibration done by the. So he was working already with this his own equipment over there at that time, and so I went. I worked with them and with him, and this composition came up and what was presented. And it's still a landmark because when somebody has to do a history of Chao or of experimental eco analysis will be there, will be mentioned. So in Chao already I started in 85. Tapore agote korichi the journey. Then I did another one, images of change on the in a young of Chao. So a duet. So I had already done experimental item in Chao, but Odisha came. It took more time. In Odisha, only 97 I started to have my first, and after that I started my school. And from there onward, once when I was student ile, tapore ebe to ବହୁତ କରୁଛି.
ଅପର୍ଣ୍ଣା ସେନଙ୍କ ସହିତ କେବେ ଦେଖା ହେଲା?
When Aparna was searching for a choreographer which would be Odyssean Chao for her Uganda, Sunil Kotari gave my name. And the second things which I did, it was with M.F. Hussain. With M.F. Hussain, different story because that was Meenakshi, A Tale of Three Cities, is second film. Gajagamini fast. I got the national award for Uganda. Okay, so when I went to Delhi to get the national award, I met Santosh, and he talked to me and he said, "Moro, I am doing this Ashoka film, so I'll have to come to Odisha also, and most probably all these martial movements, all this, I'll need your help and all this." So I was always very thrilled about waiting for that. Then Ashoka became different. It was. It went more in the commercial type of things. But Santosh kept in mind his promise and he suggested my name to Hussain, to M.F. Hussain. And so then I did this choreography, beautiful Kavali in that Nuramala. Odisha, I'd use it in the Uganda, but in the M.F. Hussain is Kathak dance and Chao because it was more a Sufi.
experience M.F. Hussain ka sahita kaam kariyara bahut sundar.
That was really some great experience, and also I mean what a difference between Uganda and this. This one is a big budget, and he could do whatever he wanted. So if the space was too big and we needed another 20 dancers from Delhi, the next day they could be flight. We were shooting in Hyderabad. Main Jinswachi Rehman music, and Rehman for me was I was big fan. Immediately when I heard the music, fell in love with the music already and the song, and I told immediately I need this, I need Chao and Kathak for this, and he just gave me indication that. Of course, it's a Sufi type, so there will be acrobatic and there will be whirling things, but that's all. And then I waited and waited, and then finally, I didn't have a proper recce of the place, but they didn't give me the music much in advance because Rehman music cannot be. So in the Cinemagar, which in Hyderabad, the Hussain Cinemagar, I composed the entire things with the dancer which I had there. But Seitiki Puni Jetebele transfer in the courtyard of the Nizam Palace, it had totally have to be broken up. And Tabu was the heroine. And in the middle of the night, all in the night and under the rain, real rain. It was not a...
अच्छा आपनकर अनुभूति भी बहुत
after the first portion of my choreography, because he had known me, he didn't know me. So I remember the first portion which we did. At the end of it, he gave me one behind and said, "Very good, very good. He was his way of appreciating. Maybe up to that moment he was still wondering, this what is girl
ଦେଖୁଥିଲେ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି
the first choreography and the last stanza, it is mine.
ଏବେ ଆର୍ଟ ଭିଜନରେ ଆପଣ ଛଉ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ସବୁ ଶିଖଉଛନ୍ତି
ନାଇଁ ଛଉ less
ବେଶୀ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଶିଖଉଛନ୍ତି
Odissi regular, all the choreography are in Odissi. And Chao, sometime I do some project with the Chao people, Baripada. So in that case, I go and work with them there. To basic student, Chao student.
ଆପଣ ବହୁତ ବର୍ଷ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ ରହିଲେଣି ଆପଣ ଆମ ଦେଶର ବହୁତ ଜାଗାକୁ ବି ଆପଣ ଯାଇକିରି ବୁଲି ସବୁ ଦେଖି ସାରିଥିବେ କେମିତି ମାନେ କମ୍ପାରିଜନ୍ କରିବେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଜାଗା ଆଉ ଏଇ ଜାଗା ବିଷୟରେ
ମୋ ଜାଗା ତ ଭୁଲିଗଲି
ହଁ ସେଟା ତ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ବହୁତ ବର୍ଷ ହବ ଆପଣ ଆସିକିରି ସେ ଜାଗା
but there are certain dimensions, especially when I came in the 70s, 80s and all this early 80s. So set a village of my childhood, village of my grandmother and all these things were very similar to the dimension of Kathak. It was Kathak which captured me. Kathak dimension is unique. I remember there was this film director from Italy, famous one. He came with his cinematographer. They went to Calcutta for presenting to the Calcutta Film Festival. That year, Italy was hosting, and then they came here. And I was already in my house here in Bhubaneswar. So I said that you want to have an experience, take the bus and go to Kathak and roam around the entire day and come back in the evening and then tell me what is happening. So they went.
Oh, they went also?
They went. So they went. When they came back, pura empty. They were totally exhausted. I said, Ileana, Kathak is this most beautiful city in the world.
Oh.
Yeah, and I said, yes, good. Then you have understood. Yeah, because artists can understand that. If anybody goes, they will see the gutters, they will see the they will see the smell, they will see the crowd, they will see the dirty, they will see. But whoever is sensible enough to understand what it is, the situation, the feeling of the town.
ଆପଣ ଏବେ ତ ଇଟଲି ବି ଯାଉଥିବେ ମଝିରେ ମଝିରେ
yes, I go like ଏବେ ତ 3 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଯାଇଥିଲି ଏବେ ତ ଆଉ କେହି ନାହାନ୍ତି ବାପା ନାହାନ୍ତି ମା ନାହାନ୍ତି only my youngest sister died in a plane accident, so only brother is there, brother and his family. My brother is a farmer. He is cultivating olive oil. So all of us, my sister was in Quito in Ecuador, and she had opened with her husband a tourist village over there. So I was in India and my brother is in Toscana to cultivate olive. So
ଆପଣ କେବେ ଆଉ ଏମିତି ଗୋଟେ ପଶ୍ଚାତାପ ଆସିନି ଯେ ମୁଁ ପୁରା ଛାଡ଼ିକି ପଳେଇ ଆସିଲି ଏଠି ରହିଲି ସେଠି ରହିଥିଲେ ହୁଏତ କ'ଣ କରିଥାନ୍ତି ସେମିତି କେବେ ବି ଭାବନା ସେମିତି କେବେ ବି ଆସିନି ୟୁ ଆର୍ ଏନ୍ଜୟ ଆପଣ ଏନ୍ଜୟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ
I never had regret. Very happy to be here.
କ'ଣ କହିବେ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ବିଷୟରେ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ନୃତ୍ୟ ବିଷୟରେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ବିଷୟରେ last time I say just now I'm very happy to be here. So ଏଠି ଆପଣ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ସେମିତି ଅସୁବିଧା ତ ଛୋଟ ମୋଟ ହେଇଥିବ ଏମିତି ବଡ଼ ଅସୁବିଧା ବା ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗଲ୍ ସେମିତି କିଛି କରିବାକୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ
ନାଇଁ ବଡ଼ ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ ଆଉ but one thing that ଏବେ ଯଦି ଆସିଥାନ୍ତି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ either I would have fell in love with India or not, I don't know, but India of 40 years ago, yes.
Marriage କରିବେନି ବୋଲି ସ୍ଥିର କଲେ
marriage that we never plan as such, it didn't happen.
ଆପଣ ପୁରା ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ରେ ବୁଡ଼ି ଗଲେ
yeah, in India yes, I didn't give space for any relation. It could have happened once or twice, but there was no space for that. I always follow Guruji, come back to Kathak, say Kathak re ki asibo sab I would have met maybe somebody somewhere, but tapare mu sabu bele feri asibi eti na tale gola
etikara khaiba rahiba everything apanakara sabu pasand
hegala. That is not been a problem at all.
kichi problem hai
no khaiba jinso kichi problem helani ja if somebody is cooking I'm eating. I'm very happy. No, now recently I start cooking in my life finally, only very recently, but
ଭାତ ଖାଆନ୍ତି ସବୁଦିନ
ସବୁଦିନ
ଈଶ୍ୱର ବିଶ୍ୱାସ କରନ୍ତି You believe God?
Yes, I believe in the whoever has called decided that I would be this is my life. So I would yeah.
If I ask जदि मैं आपको पचारि ओडिसी जे कौन गोटे अभिनय आमर प्रायतः सबू गीत समर्पित जगन्नाथ को मैक्सिमम आपण सेमिति गोटे गीत अभिनय कला बेले आपणक मनर भाव केमती थाए?
Yeah, I imagine Krishna, I imagine
जेमति
Jagannath.
कि हमर गोटे गीत अछि मल्लीमाला श्याम को देवी आपण मे भी करिथिबे निश्चित एते डांस कलेनी सेटा केमिति मनर भावटा सेतले केमिति हिथाए?
Yeah, but you see, you learn from a guru who has really for so many years. Maybe jodi mu 2-3 मास ऐसे की तांती है तो नहीं. But I became part of whatever visualization is there in Guruji's mind, and whatever it is there around all the puja, the sounds, the images, the fate of the people. So I became part of all of this. So I was imagining Krishna the way I see it, the way you see it, and so I became part of the entire feeling, the entire culture. So I think we imagine it in the same way. I don't do rituals apart from dance. For me, dance is a ritual. So through dance, I worship.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. शुणुले आपण मैंने कला साहित्य संस्कृति परंपरा केबे भाषार बंधन रे जगार बंधन रे बांधी रुहे नहीं तार उदाहरण आपण मैंने बहुत सुंदर भाव देखिले आ शुणिले. पुणी आर थर को नमस्कार.